This story happened back in 1999, when I was 19 and had nothing going for me. I didn't go to college. I didn't have a job. Most of my friends had moved away for school or work. Meanwhile, I was stuck in my small, decaying seaside town, living in my mom's basement and slowly going crazy from the boredom. I was desperate for a job. Any job. That's when I saw the flyer. It said, "Help needed. Overnight shift $500 week Island Lighthouse." I thought it was some kind of prank at first, but I called the number anyway. The man who answered sounded older, gruff, kind of irritated. He introduced himself as Lenny and explained that the island was uninhabited. Just a big rock with an old lighthouse on it, 2 miles off the coast. He said the state paid him to keep watch on it overnight. Problem was, he was getting too old to do it alone. He needed a partner. He also said something strange before we hung up. "The job can get pretty dangerous. I should warn you about that." Then he added, laughing, "Some folks say the island's haunted. Hope that doesn't bother you." I thought he was just messing with me. I showed up at the docks on Friday evening, 15 minutes before 6. I waited around for a while and eventually saw this big older guy prepping a tiny fishing boat. That was Lenny. He didn't say much, didn't shake my hand, just pointed to the sky and said, "Storm's coming. Let's go." The boat looked barely seaworthy. Old, rusting, loud. But I climbed in, and we took off just before the storm hit. The island was depressing. Trash everywhere. The lighthouse looked like it should have collapsed years ago. The stench was awful, like seaweed, rot, and something dead. Inside was even worse. Cracked windows, trash everywhere, rats running around. The air was thick with mold and decay. But Lenny acted like it was nothing. He just said, "You get used to the smell." We climbed the spiral staircase to the top. There was a small open room with 2 old wicker chairs and a floodlight setup. From there, we had a clear view of the whole island and the ocean. I asked when we should turn on the light. Lenny laughed and said, "Only if we see boats. We're basically scarecrows." Then he cracked open a beer, handed me one, and told me to get comfortable. For a few hours, we sat in silence. Just the rain, the wind, and the occasional thunder. It was actually peaceful, in a weird way. I started to feel like I could do this job long term. At around 1 in the morning, Lenny broke the silence. "You never asked about the ghosts." I laughed, thinking he was joking again, but he didn't laugh back. He said sometimes people see things, hear things, that it's probably just the isolation messing with your head. "But I don't know," he said. "You'll see for yourself." Eventually, I got tired and told him I needed sleep. He said we'd take shifts. I sleep until 3. He'd watch. Then we'd switch. I closed my eyes and tried to rest. That's when I felt something. A light tickling sensation on my toes. I jolted up, startled. Lenny wasn't in his chair anymore. A few seconds later, he appeared from the staircase, soaked in rain. Said he was cleaning up garbage downstairs. I felt stupid for reacting the way I did. Maybe I was just dreaming. I went back to sleep. And maybe an hour later, it happened again. Same feeling, like someone lightly running their fingers up my leg. I didn't want to open my eyes. I stayed perfectly still, waiting. Then the sensation stopped. I jumped up, expecting Lenny to be standing there. But he was back in his chair, staring at me. "Did you touch me?" I asked. He looked disgusted. "What?" "No. Why would I?" I didn't believe him. "Sounds like you got a visitor," he said, lighting a cigarette. I told him to cut the crap, but he stayed stone-faced. Probably just a dream. Happens to everyone at least once out here. I told myself I wouldn't fall back asleep, but I did. This time, the feeling wasn't gentle. It wasn't a tickle. It was a bite. I opened my eyes and found Lenny on his knees, with his mouth pressed into my stomach. He was literally gnawing on me, his face covered in blood. I screamed and pushed him off. My pants were gone. My shirt was ripped. Lenny just laughed and reached into his bag and pulled out a full-sized axe. "I lied about Casper," he said. Actually, I lied about a lot of things. I ran, barefoot, down the spiral stairs. I could hear the metal scraping behind me as he dragged the axe along the wall. I made it to the boat, the Stingray, and jumped in. But there was no key. Of course, there wasn't. I panicked, looked back and saw nothing. Then, I kicked the engine off the boat and dove into the freezing water. I swam for nearly an hour in the dark. No idea if he was chasing me. I was freezing, exhausted, bleeding. I finally made it to shore around sunrise. I found a cab near Pompeo Beach and told the driver to take me to the police station. I told the cops everything. They ran the name. No, Lenny ever hired by the state. No record of anyone being assigned to that lighthouse. In fact, they said the island had been abandoned for decades. They went out to investigate, but everything was gone. No beer, no chairs, no blood, nothing. They told me it was probably some squatter who lured me out there, but I think it was more than that. I think Lenny had done this before, and if I hadn't woken up when I did, I'd probably still be there. I don't sleep well when it rains now, and I never go near lighthouses. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more terrifying experiences submitted by real people. Stay safe out there. Some old lighthouses are still active, not to guide ships, but for something else. I live in a remote coastal town in northern Germany. We're isolated, quiet, behind on the times. Our lighthouse still runs every night. Its beams sweeping the dark ocean until sunrise. Most people think it's just a tradition, but it's not. When the old keeper, Mr. Wallace, retired, I took his place. I had no real ambitions, no job prospects, nothing going on. So I took it. A steady job, a quiet place. The first day, he met me at the lighthouse. He limped as he walked, handed me a hot drink. I thought it was coffee. It wasn't. Grog, he said. You'll get used to it. Inside, the lighthouse was nothing like I remembered as a kid. It was small, cramped, rusted. Dust floated through the sunlight. The stairwell groaned with every step. He showed me the light, the old generator, the ancient radio system, the dusty oil stove, all of it. Before he left, he told me, "You don't know what's out there, do they? It ain't the ships that need us. It's the town." I laughed. He didn't. Our town has stories. A fishing boat that came back without its crew. An artist who stared too long at the sea and lost his mind. They say the ocean changes people. I never believed any of it. At first, I did my job well. Routine. Check the generator. Check the light. Then just wait. The nights were long, cold, and boring. After a few weeks, I stopped caring. If the light went out, who would notice? The first outage happened during a storm. The generator kicked on. The lamp came back. Nothing happened. The second outage, no storm. Just flickered out. I didn't even move. Figured it'd come back. It always did. But that night, I heard something. Singing. Soft. Wordless. A feminine hum, echoing through the sea air. I paused my movie. It wasn't from the speakers. It was outside. The sea had changed. Where it had been calm, it now churned. Dark waves crashed against the rocks, and something was rising from it. Through the telescope, I saw her. Long black hair, pale skin glowing in the moonlight. A face too beautiful to be real. She wasn't alone. Dozens more surfaced beside her. All of them perfect, graceful, smiling, and all of them swimming toward shore. Then, a red flare exploded over the ocean. For a split second, I saw the truth. They weren't beautiful. They weren't even human. The flare lit up their real forms, bloated, twisted, covered in scales. Where I'd seen eyes were sockets. Where there were smiles, there were rows of teeth. They screamed, recoiled, slithered back into the sea, and then the flare faded, and the illusion returned. But I knew what I'd seen. My brain couldn't unsee it. I knew what they really were, and the lighthouse light was still out. I ran down the spiral stairs to the generator room. The door was locked. I fumbled with the keys. Outside, something roared. Metal claws scraped against the wall. Something was out there. I found the right key, busted into the room, tried the generator. Nothing. No power. No light. I forgot to check the oil. I searched the shelves. The bottle slipped. I almost screamed. Outside the door, something heavy slammed into it. Then, the doorknob turned. That's when I remembered. I hadn't locked the main door. I hadn't locked it in weeks. And now, they were inside. I froze. Couldn't move until I saw a hand. Or something like a hand slide through the doorframe. It wasn't human. It was wet, pale, clawed, belonging to a creature that didn't belong in this world. It pulled itself inside. Long limbs, gills, fins, too many joints, too many eyes. It saw me. And it smiled. I turned the key on the generator one last time. It roared to life. The lights flickered on. The creature screamed. Smoke poured from its skin. It twisted and flailed, retreating into the dark. Before it vanished, it looked at me. It didn't blink, didn't flinch, just stared. Like it was promising it'd be back. I slammed the door and locked it. Sat upstairs, shivering, staring out at the sea for the rest of the night. I didn't sleep. I didn't breathe. Just waited. The next morning, there was a crowd on the beach. Police tape. A body. Torn apart. They said he was attacked by an animal, but I saw the flare gun beside him. And I knew who was. Mr. Wallace. Even after he retired, he still walked the beach at night. He saw the light was out. He fired the flare to protect the town. Just waited. The next morning, there was a crowd on the beach. Police tape. A body. Torn apart. They said he was attacked by an animal, but I saw the flare gun beside him, and I knew who it was. Mr. Wallace. Even after he retired, he still walked the beach at night. He saw the light was out. He fired the flare to protect the town. He died because I didn't do my job. He saved me. He saved us all, and I failed him. Now, I take my job seriously. Every night. No phones, no distractions, no naps. Just me, the light, and the ocean. I still drink grog. To remember the old man, but also because he was right. You do get used to it. Not all lighthouses are built to guide ships. Some of them guide something else entirely. This happened to me a few years ago in the dark hills of eastern Kentucky. I was driving through a long, empty valley, the kind of road where you can go 30 minutes without seeing another person. There were no houses, no farmland, no water. That's what made what I saw so strange. It was a lighthouse, sitting alone in a shaded meadow, nestled deep into a mountain hollow. Black and white stripes ran up its body like a barber's pole, and the glass top was catching the afternoon sun. I nearly passed it before my brain even processed what I was seeing. I slammed the brakes, dust and gravel flying everywhere. Across the street from the lighthouse was one of those old motels, a single row of rooms built around a small parking lot. I don't remember why, but I pulled in. Maybe I was curious. Maybe it was something else. But I parked my car in that empty lot and went inside. The office was quiet, hot from sunlight coming in through large windows. The woman behind the desk looked so normal, it felt unnatural. Like someone had drawn a rough sketch of a human, but hadn't added the fine details yet. Her hair was blonde. Her eyes were undecided, somewhere between green, blue, and brown. "Can I help you?" she asked. I said I wanted a room. She seemed surprised, but handed me a key anyway. Then I asked, "Do people usually stop here to look at the lighthouse?" She stared at me, confused. "Lighthouse?" she asked. I turned and pointed right at it. "That one, across the road." But she just shook her head. "I don't know what you're talking about." I let it go. My room was in the center of the motel. Everything about it was forgettable, except the paintings. All of them were of stormy seas and rocky coastlines. One, in particular, showed a shipwreck beneath a towering cliff. A black and white lighthouse stood dark on the rocks. No light at the top. No lights in the keeper's house. It gave me a splitting headache. I laid down, and the next thing I knew, it was dark. Moonlight, or so I thought, was bleeding in through the curtains. But when I looked outside, I realized something. There was no moon. The only light was from the lighthouse, now glowing blue through a thick mist that had swallowed the valley. And then, I saw them, dozens of human figures, standing silently in the fog, their eyes and mouths glowing with the same pale light. I picked up the phone to call the police, but there was no phone. I walked through the fog to the motel office. The woman was still there. She looked annoyed when she opened the night window. "Come back to ask about the lighthouse again?" she said. I pointed to the figures. "No, this time I'm asking about the dead people in the parking lot." Her expression changed instantly. She leaned out to look and started screaming. "Who are they?" She dragged me into the office, locked the door, and called the police. She begged them to come quickly. They said someone was on the way. We waited. She curled up on the floor behind the desk, hugging an old paperback book. I asked about it. "It's about a lighthouse keeper," she said. "She forgets to light the lamp. A ship crashes. People die." I asked her name. She looked up and said, "Macy Pelbam." But the book, The title was The Sins of Amy Campbell. Then, the lights went out. The office went completely dark, except for the red glow of the vacancy sign and the lighthouse. Still pulsing outside, I saw one of the figures walk up to the window. Up close, I realized he wasn't just a shadow. He was real, or had been. He wore rotted 1800s clothes. His beard was wild. His eyes, still glowing. I whispered to the girl, but when she looked, she didn't see him. He turned and wandered off. Then came sirens. She jumped up, said they were here. I didn't hear anything. Then the lighthouse light changed from blue to red and blue, like police lights. She said, "There." They went into the field. Before I could stop her, she ran. I reached for her arm, but my hand passed through her like smoke. She disappeared into the fog. Then came the scream. Long, terrified. And then, silence. The light turned back to turquoise, and then went dark. I sat there a long time. Didn't call the police. Didn't know what I'd even say. Eventually, I picked up her book from the floor and went back to my room. The next morning, everything was normal. The motel was empty again. The sun was hot and white. The paintings on the walls hurt my head. I went to check out. She was behind the counter, just like yesterday, reading the same book. She didn't remember me. I asked her name. She said, "Amy Campbell." I drove away, watched the motel vanish in my rearview mirror. The lighthouse, the mist, gone. I've tried finding that motel again, tried looking up the book, The Sins of Amy Campbell, but there's no record of it. No author, no listing, nothing. Still, I keep that old copy locked in a box. And sometimes, late at night, I swear I see the top edge of it glowing, a soft, pulsing blue, just like the light from the lighthouse. If you've experienced anything like this, feel free to send me your story. Stay safe out there, and remember, some places aren't supposed to exist.